Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon, all the way down in Nashville.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We're thrilled to death you're listening to our show.
That's right. Yep.
More about that later. We've got a fantastic guest tonight. Today, whatever it might be for you, is when this is. And this is a repeat, but we'll give you a guess on how many repeats. Guess who are you?
Jeff Schroeder. Planet Earth.
Nice.
Yes, sometimes.
Many times from planet Earth.
Welcome back, my friend.
Yes, Jeff,
Yeah, thank
this
you.
is...
Thank you for tolerating me
Oh,
one more
absolutely.
time.
We love it.
This is number 7,
Wow.
which
7?
I'm pretty sure it's 7. Tony, double check me.
I'm gonna have to do some research.
I'm sure it is. I counted it. We're going to have a great time talking to our old friend Jeff. A lot has been going on in this man's life. So, but in the meantime, we're going to get in the way of that with a bunch of nonsense. So,
Yep.
let's talk about announcements real quick. I've got a couple boxes of boxes at home. I've got stuff to give away to everybody, and I'm really excited about this. But as I mentioned on the last podcast, I don't want to just jump. We just got through giving away all the warm audio stuff. We need to let the meat rest a little bit, as it were. So I expect that probably in the next announcement in the next 2 weeks. So, and then after that, we have another one, and then after that, we have another one. Yeah. So if you're interested and you're like, what am I waiting for? We're going to announce it at the end, but I'm going to go ahead and give you a jump start. Go to patreon.com, look up the Guitar Knobs, and hook up. Join us. It'd be great. We'd love to have you. The water's fine. Okay. On with what's going on in our music worlds this week. Tanya Bolonsky,
Yes.
what is up with you? And then we're going to check in with Jeff.
Well, since I had some free time this long weekend, I decided to tune on to
That's right. It's a Memorial Weekend.
Yes, it is. Disney Plus to watch the new Beach Boys documentary.
Oh, man. I got to watch that.
Well, maybe.
Maybe not.
Maybe I could save you a couple hours. No, it's actually a very Disney well done documentary. It's very homogenized. It makes Mike Love look kind of like a saint, which he ain't.
Yeah.
No, just ask, what's his name? He'll tell you.
Brian Wilson.
Brian Wilson, yeah.
What's his name?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
I do that to everybody in the world, by the way. I do that to God. What's that guy up there? What's his name again?
Yeah. So, or 3/4 of the listening audience probably would agree that Mike Love is a douche. But did I say that?
Yeah.
Are we allowed to say
we
that?
We don't usually do that, but
Come on, you got to do it.
He ain't got a computer. Come on.
He might be
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Well, Mike, if you're listening,
We love you.
Yeah. Enter your expletive. Okay, Tony.
So, I mean, it did. I mean, I've read a couple of books. I've seen a couple of, biopics and things like that. And it's, like I said, it's a kind of a homogenized version of history.
Is that because there's so much to tell, and they're probably talking to people who are like, what? Who are these guys?
I'm thinking that's part of it. Yeah, it's a big story. Also, there's a lot of dead Beach Boys right now, so it's kind of tough for them to, have fresh interviews with people, other than with Mike Love and Brian Wilson.
Yeah.
Who is sadly.
Yeah.
I just heard that he had a conservativeship placed on him, which is kind of like a guardianship.
Yeah.
And
We saw him a couple years ago live here.
yes, we did.
That was pretty cool.
So,
little weird, too.
it's worth a watch if you don't know much of the Beach Boys story. It definitely continues to paint Murray Wilson, the Wilson brothers' father, as the true villain of all time. He was another guy that was essentially jealous of his sons and the fame.
Why does that happen so much in show business?
I don't know.
I wasn't asking you. I was asking Jeff.
Oh,
Jeff, you're a superstar. Why does this happen?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think usually with those overbearing parents like that, it's the ones that were kind of failed artists themselves. And so maybe they have this feeling that they have to do whatever it takes to make sure that their children make it. But in doing that, they just control everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, apparently.
you certainly, I can say it's very twisted because you see it so much everywhere from Britney Spears to the Jacksons to
Jessica, not Bart.
I was like, oh yeah. I'm like, okay,
Homer's a villain.
I'm like, if you say so, Todd.
So it's worth watching.
Trust fund.
The bright point was we're approaching the end. It's like they show some footage from a 1980. When the original Beach Boys were alive and playing together, they were playing.
They did the US Festival, right? Didn't they do the US Festival?
I don't know.
Maybe not.
No, I think you're getting confused with Judas Priest.
Yes. Oh, yes.
That's an easy slip.
They are so similar.
Yeah.
So we're getting to the end. I know I can feel the wind down, and I'm saying, oh, thank God we made it through the movie without having to hear Kokomo. Quite possibly the worst song ever written.
Yeah.
It blew up in the late 80s.
Well, I guess you don't want
huge,
to. I'm not going to make my announcement that's going to be my first post. It's my cover of Kokomo.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure yours will be an improvement. But so we're getting through, and it's at the end, and roll credits, and guess what song pops up?
Kokomo.
Oh boy.
And this is Mike Love with no Beach Boys.
But that's what
this is Mike Love with no Beach Boys recording a piece of horse dung, and it becomes one of their biggest hits in the 1980s.
I didn't. So seriously, educate us that don't know.
Because it went
myself.
with Cocktail, the movie.
So Mike Love was the only one involved with that song.
Let me tell you another story about Mike Love.
Okay.
Mike Love registered the name Beach Boys to himself and warned all of the other Beach Boys that they could not use that in any of their reference materials. If Carl Wilson put out a solo album, he couldn't say Carl Wilson of the Beach Boys.
That's insane.
This man is evil, and they paint this. Well, he's an old fart now, but
he deserves it.
Tony's angry.
Do you sense that I don't like Mike Love?
Yes. Yeah. That's abundantly clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. But we had to listen to Kokomo through the roll credits. So
yeah. Well, he got paid for that.
Aruba, Jamaica.
If I can make it.
Stop it.
Quick interjection.
Yes,
I have
please.
just a very quick Brian Wilson story.
Oh man.
So one time, this is like 94, 95. I was in this band. We had a manager who was a publicist, was his day job, and he worked at a very big publicity company, did whatever. I think Michael Jackson was actually one of his, he got assigned he was part of the Michael Jackson team, and he got a lot of the problem stars like Corey Feldman and because he was in the news recently, if you remember, Kato Kaelin was one. And so I actually went to, me, my manager, some of my bandmates, and Kato Kaelin, we went to this party, and I can't remember, it was for some kind of B-level movie producer or something, and at his house in Hollywood. And so we walk in the front door, and who's sitting there at a table with 2 pizzas by himself? Brian Wilson. I mean, just couldn't believe. We're like, oh my God, it's Brian Wilson. And he had these pizzas and was just, he'd take one slice, take a bite, put it down, pick up another slice.
That sounds like a Jared maneuver, because I've seen Jared with a pizza, and to keep anybody else from having a slice of his prized
That's
pie.
not my strategy. I eat it so fast you don't have a chance.
Well, and so there is a picture somewhere. So it's me and my friend looking at the camera, and Brian's looking wherever he's looking, somewhere else, not at the camera. And you can see all these pizzas in front of him. I got to dig that out. My friend has it somewhere. So
he's looking in pizza heaven.
And that was like 94. So it's like, if he just got an executor now, I mean, I think he did all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but
I got a quick too. I got a please let me. So
well,
my dad was in
you,
Cleveland.
Jared, just so we're clear.
I'm a bulldozer going to tell the story. My dad, overweight. He was in Cleveland for business, and Brian Wilson was as well. They were at the same hotel, and Dad got in the elevator. It was Brian Wilson. He was in pajamas. His hair was all messed up. He just looked like he got out of bed, and there was a guy with him, maybe the doctor guy. And my dad said, "Oh my goodness, Brian Wilson! I'm a big fan since I was a kid. I love your music. I'm a huge fan. It's a pleasure to meet you." And he said, looked at my dad, and he said, "Hey, how much do you weigh?"
Wow.
He's probably worried about the capacity of the elevator, maybe.
And the guy looked at Brian. He's like, "Brian, you should not treat people like that. Like he was 4 years old." I think that was that doctor.
That could have been. Yeah.
Yeah. So my dad witnessed that in real life. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
my Brian Wilson story.
Now that was a great movie, by the way.
Yes.
What was it called? Heroes and Villains? No, not Heroes and Villains.
I couldn't tell you.
John Cusack.
It was really good.
John Cusack was in it.
Yeah. Great show.
Oh, wow.
Watch that movie, listeners. Really good one.
Excellent. Jeff, I know you just kind of shared a Brian Wilson story, but what's going on in your music world?
Actually, I've been delving into classical music, if you can believe it.
I believe it.
Yeah. So I'm reading a book by Alex Ross, who was the, I guess, New Yorker music critic, called The Rest is Noise. And it's kind of history of 20th century classical music.
That's a great title.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So when things start getting a little bit strange, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I do. That's what I do to torture myself in my free time.
Wow. Do you have a favorite? I mean, the world of classical music is huge, but is there something that you particularly are digging?
Well, I think that what originally drew me into it were some more like the minimalist genre, which would be people like Philip Glass and Steve Reich and things like that. And I always had I always found John Cage such an interesting person too. And so actually I have a documentary about him on DVD that I brought out and watched that the other night. Yeah. And also, speaking of, I've been kind of going through watching some music documentaries. I have one too on Bill Frisell too.
Yeah.
That's by Emma France. That's an excellent documentary.
That is a great one. Yep.
Yeah. So I watched that recently, and it's just so inspiring.
Super cool, man.
Not as controversial as Mike Love, though.
Well, the more you learn about that, you'll probably uncover a whole bunch of baddies. Very cool. Well, I see a little bit of foreshadowing in our story, maybe just a touch. A touch too much. I can't. Sorry, I can't have to do that. Okay, Jared, about yourself.
Oh yeah. So lately, there's a fella at work. Even though he works at Gibson, he is not a guitar player. He had a friend that passed and willed him a Travis Bean guitar.
Oh, wow.
A real one. Yeah. So what's been happening is he feels like the guitar needs to be played all the time. So he just passes the guitar around.
That's cool.
And the first time I played this guitar, it was at my friend Nick's house. He also works at Gibson. He had the guitar. And
Hey.
and he wants to talk too. That's okay. Anyway, we were playing it, and I couldn't believe how good that aluminum neck felt. I mean, I'm serious. I thought, I'm not going to like this. It's like aluminum, it's metal, it's weird, it's whatever. And the pickups sound amazing too. They're like a wide range design with a totally holeless cover. So there's no holes in the covers at all. They're just giant pickups. Sound fantastic. They're hotter than normal wide range pickups. So it's been refinished at one time. But who cares? I mean, it's an original old Travis Bean. It's got an old dusty case.
Cool.
Excuse
man.
me. So yeah, he texted me. He's like, "Hey, man, you want to take possession of the Bean for a while?" And I was excited. I lit right up. I'm like, yeah. So it's currently
Does it
at my
sound different?
house.
Do you feel like it sounds really different? Is it? If you close your eyes, is it the same?
It's more resonant than. It just feels like a super resonant guitar. If I were to describe it,
Like snappy?
kind of snappy, yeah. And then when you hit a power chord, it just rings out forever. That could be due to the really good pickup design with the aluminum neck, and it's an older guitar. And the neck actually, like I said, everybody has their own flavor of what they want their neck to be. Everybody does.
Yep.
But just so happens that I really like, and I'm not picky about necks, but this one is really nice. I couldn't believe how much I liked it.
That's cool, man.
Because if you don't like it, what are you going to do? You're going to sand it? I guess you're going to sand it, right? But you can never put the
That's the
metal
option.
shavings, right? It's like, it's a little more finalized after that. I don't know.
Yeah. Jeff, have you played any Travis Beans?
No, Jared, are the bodies aluminum too?
No, just the
neck. Just the neck. Yeah. I've played a few Valinos. Remember those from?
Oh yeah,
Valinos. Yeah. Jeff Benj in Chicago, a guitar repair man who worked on my guitars and Billy's guitars a bunch. He's just a wealth of knowledge, and so somehow he came across a stash of Valino parts, and so was able to, friend of a friend of a friend got this. Some guy for some reason had a stash of parts somewhere, and so he was able to put together some guitars, and it's a cool experience. I really actually kind of wanted one, but they're not cheap. So
No.
and then it's kind of the thing, like, are you really going to use it? So I mean, but it is cool. It is cool.
Yes.
It's very different.
Yes, I would imagine quite so. I think that would be very difficult to wrap your head, like play normally or usually rather, like all the time, as opposed to the like wood guitars. Like I think you have to kind of. It feels like it's for a certain kind of music almost.
Yeah, especially if you have that monkey grip problem that you have.
Yes, terrible.
And one more little thing I'd like to add to my little segment is I wanted to thank my good old buddy Tony Bolonsky for sending me oh my gosh, name's out of my head. It's a
Jared Brandon.
Yes, for my Trini Lopez. So I recently picked up a Trini Lopez at work for a good deal, and it's the Pelham Blue. And Tony Bolonsky sent me a Trini Lopez little placard that goes on the bottom of the
nice.
Really cool.
Yeah.
On the tailpiece, it says Jared Brandon. So thank you very much, Tony Bolonsky.
You're welcome, Jared.
Is this a reissue?
Yeah, it's a custom shop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Pelham Blue.
Very
Awesome.
nice.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
You and Dave Grohl can hang out now.
Sure. I mean, I like Dave Grohl. Yeah.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
That's
Todd.
not why I got the
It's not
guitar,
true.
but yeah.
Todd, what about you? What's
Well-
going on in your musical world this week?
So for whatever, sometimes you get little things planted in your head, and I know myself well enough to know when that like tickle hits in your brain, and I'm like, okay, I just started putting off the inevitable because I found at our local used guitar place a couple of pedals that I've heard enough about to where I'm like, what's going on with these things? Is the hype real? And
What do you think?
I grabbed them. There was 3 of them, but I only grabbed 2. So
You got the Joyos.
I got the Joyo AC tone and British sound. They were $20. Like get out of here, right? I'm like, I have to see what the hype is.
Oh, Bob.
I didn't do the American one because I don't want to sound like a Fender, but I was very keen to try the AC tone, especially. I've been playing out of a Marshall, so I'm like, well, what does a Marshall sound like through a Marshall, essentially? Because these are originally
A Marshall through a Marshall sounds like a Mesa Boogie.
okay. I don't know how to process, but actually, that's probably about what I was hearing today. But what's interesting about this is that I found out that these were actually based off of the Sans amp pedal that Kurt Cobain was using, where you could change whatever the voice was, essentially.
Yeah, but those had dip switches.
I know they had dip switches. But these are like pulled out. It's like each one was a dip switch, kind of ish. Anyways, I have to say,
Yes.
I was not keen on the British so much.
Was it worth $20?
It was worth $20 to find out, so I don't have to itch in my head. But I also can return this.
Let me see it.
It is used, and these are like they're well made. They're like at least the casings of them.
Now, Todd, these are they basically like they simulate an amp?
Yeah, it's basically an amp in a box, right? The AC tone, which models a Vox, I was really loving this. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I was like, wait a minute. I really like this. Not for everything, but for certainly some things. It fits my style for my band, and I started to think of different ways, things that I could pair with it, and I was like, ooh, this is cool. So yeah, I was impressed. It brings a little bit of jangle and a little bit of extra sparkle, which Tony, we talk about this all the time.
Jangle sparkle.
I like that. I like being able to hit a nice fat chord, but also get like some sprang off of it too. You know.
Well, I can tell right now based on the settings that you have on this
It's
British
moved around
Joyo.
in my bag. Give
You've
me a break.
got the mids pegged. Come on.
I didn't peg the mids.
You scoop the mids. Scoop it.
It was in my bag. Anyways, Jeff, were you trying to chime in there?
I was going to ask you. So you're playing these into your amp? They're not for going direct into.
Correct.
Your
There's no
computer
DI on it at all. It's
Okay.
it's
That costs $5 more.
yeah. So this I put that, and actually I tried it with a boost in front of it too, and I was like, ooh, that sounds pretty good. Doggone it.
And now, what kind of amp are you playing it through?
This is the Marshall Origin 50. And
That's what you play through.
Yeah, that's what
Okay,
I've been
okay.
playing through as of late, and I'm running it pretty clean. I mean, very little gain on the actual Marshall. Certainly not into a drive sound at all. I mean, it's clean. So when I hit that with this, I was really pleasantly surprised. I was kind of shocked, and I kept wanting to play. So I'm like, well, that's a mark of a pedal. If you're like,
1 for 2.
1 for 2. So I'll probably rehouse this or something, like, kind of paint it up, just my own thing, because,
Make it look like a Vox
it's
amp.
pretty boring looking, but
Yeah. Make it look like a
You
Vox
should.
amp.
You should. What's that British guy? Gosh, he
Steven
makes those-
Toast.
No, British pedal maker, and he did really. Cornish.
Pete Cornish.
Oh, yeah,
You should get a Cornish housing for it.
I could do that. Yeah.
So, it's like the most expensive housing that you could get.
Yes.
I like that idea.
Indeed. Yeah. So, anyways, that was a fun find.
Well, you could actually house that inside of
$24. I mean,
inside
get
of
outta
an
here.
and house it inside of a 1960s Fawn AC30 cabinet.
What?
Just come on.
Yeah, I mean, I got a buddy that Hex, who I reference all the time, and he plays an AC30 on stage, and his sound is fantastic. It's so good, and he barely has the thing up because he doesn't want it to start getting squishy, which is kind of a bit of the problem with that because If you, what are you shaking your head for?
A Vox amp is not squishy.
What are you talking about? When I had my 15, it started to break up. It's like so early. Anyways, so then I don't have to do that with this. Ta-da!
Ta-da.
And it didn't cost me $1,000. So
there you go.
That's the thing.
You're ahead of the game.
I am. And also we started, we had our first practice in a long time because everybody was just kind of like taking a break and sorting some things out. But I had a pile of songs. I'm like, hey, my clock is ticking here. So
are you playing the theremin on this album?
I am, yes. Okay. With a violin.
Nice.
That was my idea.
Yeah, we knocked out, we solidified. We finalized 2 songs that I've been sitting on for a long time. And
Nice.
I was like, good. This is a great
That's a good
start.
feeling.
Yeah. Anyways, in order to get these pedals that we got here, Tony.
Yes.
You know how I got these all plugged in?
Did you buy some Joyo patch cables?
I did not. But I did use my Tour Gear Designs patch cables, and thank goodness, because the way that these are side jacks.
Side to side.
Which really just put a kink in my board, so I had to reach for the old S-shaped cable to help me out. And you can get the S-shaped cable and
is that the Sean S
and
cable?
the C-shaped cables.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
On tourgeardesigns.com.
Yes.
We highly recommend these patch cables.
They're thin.
All the things you've
They're
heard
durable.
it 1,000 times. We're going to get onto this because as soon as you put all of these cables that you need in your cart, you're going to get 15% off when you use the coupon code The Guitar Knobs.
All lowercase, all one word.
That's right. They get to your house in a hurry, and you'll be happy. So, thank you to tourgeardesigns.com for sponsoring our 4 on the Floor. Jared.
Let me get a little bit of this.
1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor. Jeff Schroeder, guitarist extraordinaire. What is your 4 on the floor? Again, for the 7th time.
Well, I have a new one. So this is actually going to be fun because post me quitting my day job, I had more time to just flounder in whatever type of guitar rabbit hole I wanted to go down, and one of those had proved to be the one that I don't know, maybe you guys don't, but I kind of I fall down this one every, I don't know, 8 to 10 years where I get really into Jimi Hendrix again.
Wah pedal.
No.
Oh.
So I was like, well, so it started. I bought, Hal Leonard makes this really nice hardcover edition of not a complete Jimi Hendrix, but it has Are You Experienced, Access Bold as Love, Electric Ladyland, and Band of Gypsies, full transcriptions, guitar, bass, even the drums. Yeah. And so, I was like, okay, I want to kind of start learning this and kind of really, really getting it under the hood with this. I think we all can kind of play some licks, but I wanted to just, okay, let me kind of look at it a little more closely. Mm-hmm. But so then I said, well, I need to get the sounds to play along because I'm that guy. I want to sit in my room and play along, and I got to have, so I got to have the most expensive sit in my room rig you could have.
Right.
I'm just kidding. No, but so I did decide to get into some fuzz face pedals and Octavia and this kind of thing. So after buying a few things, I decided to contact our good friend Mike at Analog Man and talk to him. And so then he hooked me up, built me 2 fuzz faces. So nice. One, which he calls the sun face, right? So we met one with the BC 109 silicon fuzz, and then the germanium, which is they're called BART transistors, some kind of big germanium transistor, because obviously you can't get like the NKS 175. I don't know the number. I forget, but they're hard to get right now. So I am partial to the germanium one. So I have that. So that's one. I bought the Dunlop Jimi Hendrix wah. So that's my one. Jimi Hendrix wah. Let's not, because this order is something that's a whole other thing. So then we've got the wah, the germanium fuzz.
Can I ask, since you were talking about the germanium fuzz thing and the fuzz face, obviously there's lots and lots of roads to enter into fuzz face land, including the fuzz face. Did you explore any others? Is there a reason that you went straight to Mike?
I did buy I just bought one of the Dunlop ones. I used to have one as a kid when in the 90s they first reissued them, and I don't know what it's like one of the few things I've lost. I have almost everything I've ever bought. Wow. I'm not a gear seller, and for some reason I don't know what happened to it. But I had one, the round red one, and so I bought the red one and the blue one from Dunlop, and they were actually pretty good. But I thought, let me see, I know the analog man, Mike knows what he's doing over there, and so I said I got to see if I can get even one better, and and so his were quite good. They're really nice, but yeah, I know that there's tons more, but I think I'm good here.
Got it.
Unless I'm gonna go head to head with Randy Hansen and go out and play live with my own Jimi Hendrix tribute. I think I'm good. I think I'm good here.
Got it.
Also, so my next pedal though would be the Dunlop Octavio, which is the octave up fuzz, and I was lucky enough that Jim Dunlop himself actually gave me one of the big ones.
Wow.
That's right. Yeah. He came I guess last year, those pumpkins, we played Bottle Rock, and he was there, and he's just always been really nice to me and really friendly. And we're talking about this stuff, and, they don't make it anymore. They only make the small one. And he said it's because there's a part in the big one to make it authentic that basically they'd have to buy like 4,000 of this part, and he's like, we'll never sell that many of those pedals. Yeah. So it's just not cost effective to make. But he
after
said,
this show, he's going to regret that.
I know. But he said, you know what? Let me look around the warehouse. Usually, even though we don't sell it anymore, I bet there's one or two somewhere.
Oh man,
and then
that's cool.
He's a man of his word, and he sent me one. So that's cool. So I got that. So the wah, the sun face, the Octavio, and I got one of this Shin Vibe 2.
We're supposed to have them on the show. I got to get back to them.
Yeah, which is the small one, but apparently because my good friend David Phillips at LA Sound Design, he builds rigs and pedal boards of the stars. He's a Hendrix nut too, so he knows all the cool stuff to get. He said, no, get the Shin Vibe 2. And so I have that, and I guess that's my 4 on the floor. But that's a cool Univibe. Yeah, but the thing is once you get all of it, I'm going to have a fifth silent pedal,
nice.
Because once you have all of it, you plug it in the order Hendrix hit, and it sounds horrible. Like it just doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so what's the fifth one?
Well, so is the what I'm looking at it here, the Greer Lightspeed, and this was from David Phillips, because you run all especially your fuzz face into that, and for some reason that pedal reacts like a vintage Marshall Plexi. The way that it makes the fuzz kind of collapse and rolls off the high end in a certain way, and the way that it kind of the tactile feeling of it under the fingers, it's like the craziest thing.
Wow.
And because I've heard people pairing fuzzes with overdrives, and I tried it with some of the ones I had here, and it sounded terrible. And then so I called Dave again. I said, "Are you sure, really?" He said, "Yes, you can use the light speed or the Jan Ray, that pedal. It's really expensive, kind of light overdrive pedal too." And but so I saw on Reverb there was a guy just down the road, a couple towns over, that had a light speed for sale. So I bought it, and it arrived a couple of days later, and holy smokes, Dave was right. So you kind of put that at the end of your chain to kind of act like your Marshall amp. Which is nicer, because if you're just kind of want to play into something small like a clean amp, pedal platform amp, you can kind of replicate that front end of a Marshall and kind of get that grit with the Greer light speed. And so that's something that I've been playing around with.
Well, the one thing that you're missing is the extra
pick
long.
guard.
No, the curly cables.
Yes, it is true. It is true.
You need to get you some if you want Hendrix tone.
Well, it's interesting because, what's that? There's a guitar company from South Korea, Mulan. He's mostly famous for his basses. Like his P and jazz basses have become there's a 3-year waiting list to get one of those. But Mr. Park there is he gets really deep into all this stuff. And so we were talking when I was living in Korea for a while, we were talking about it, and he said, well, just think of this, Hendrix's cables, all the frequencies weren't going through. Those were not nice. The cables back then weren't as high quality as what you can buy now.
Right.
No, they're basic capacitors.
Yeah. So he said, that's kind of part of the thing too. If you really want to be authentic, you can't use this really high, all these expensive cables that people are buying now with this kind of hi-fi sound. He's like, well, you're not going to sound like those guys did.
Oh, and you're right about the pickguard too.
I mean, it does. That's like the mojo, right? That last thing, last element.
You know it.
I heard Hendrix put LSD on it, so when you touch it with his fingers, it seep into his hands and then into his brain.
Excuse me while I touch this guard.
Yes. Yes. I got a question about the Octavio. How do you? So, tell me about what is it? What you pair with it, and how you use it. Do you prefer it with certain pickup configuration or?
Well, you definitely it's one of those things where if you're, say, let's just hype it that you're using it on its own into kind of a distorted, like your Marshall kind of sound. Yeah. Typically, I think you put it on the neck pickup and play above the 12th fret to get that sound that you were most used to hearing. And it does. It really, because I'm not a huge neck pickup person really for distorted sounds. But in this case, it really is part of the recipe. And what is really fascinating, and everybody knows this stuff, but even with this pedal, is the volume knob where you have it affects on kind of what frequencies pop out
on your guitar.
Yes. So it's that very interactive thing between
and the tone knob too.
The tone knob, yes.
That's
even
huge.
the tone knob, that actually affects what frequencies.
And two-tone knobs on a Strat.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the Octavia, our buddy John Esterly at Rare Buzz Effects, picked up a bunch of those. The chips that were in the original Octavias.
No kidding.
And he's built a couple of replica Octavias.
Oh wow.
So.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's what Jim Dunlop was talking about. That those chips are to get enough of their. Yeah, it's not worth it for a company like them to whatever.
Yeah, these apparently were the last of the remaining. Of the original production run kind of thing. And you'd probably have to, there's got to be.
Oh, that's right. Because he said, I think Josh Scott was trying to buy him or something like that. And he bought him out from under him. That's funny. Oh, well.
Oh, it's a terrible world.
Well, I love that you shared a very unexpected four on the floor with us.
Yeah.
it's quite different than what we've talked to you about, you know.
And not that I wasn't paying.
One more. Can you?
Oh.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat? Because you guys actually, I lost you guys for a second.
Yeah, you were going.
I think that was
You guys
Jared.
are
That would have been
You're
Jared.
going in and out.
We just
It's their
lost
fault,
Jared.
Jeff.
Hopefully it's not. We're not going to get.
Oh no.
I hope we're not going to get any issue with storms going through. Can you hear us, Jeff?
Oh.
You're back now. Now
Okay,
you're back.
Okay.
All we
right.
got was like storms going through, and then it made sense.
Yeah, it might. We might get a little bit of.
Let's do a clap in there.
Interference. Here we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that was a very unexpected 4 on the floor. It's cool to hear, you know, how you're going off into a territory that I guess we haven't really heard you be in for a while, even if you're just, you know, dabbling in such.
Yeah.
We have.
Well, you know,
yeah.
and I was going to say, you know, because part of it is I get, and I'm sure we all have a bit of this, is I start getting overwhelmed by what's out there.
Yeah.
There's just so much stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And so some days I think like, well, let's just go back to the basics and kind of start from there. And, you know, what kind of got me thinking of it was I was going back and just, you know, just listening to my favorites, you know, people, I mean, like Hendrix or even, you know, someone like Eric Johnson or someone like Uli John Roth or even Yngwie, these kind of guys who they're kind of built off the foundations of things that Hendrix did. And so I thought like, well, how about let's just go to square one and start there and really kind of investigate what's there, because I think that, I guess like my thinking kind of moving forward is I really miss, like, I think it seems these days not so many people have like such a signature sound.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
like
totally
even
fair.
in the way that like even Steve Vai or Joe Satriani in the early days really had kind of these signature sounds.
Yeah.
You know, Satriani now once he switched to the Marshalls and using the amps, like it's I mean, the way he plays sounds like him, but when he was using the old Marshalls and the DS1, it was like a more of a unique thing.
Uh-huh.
You know, yeah. You know, so I just think like now I you know, and I think with using like so many people using modelers and things that like I don't know if there's that much difference between one helix and another or one. I mean, like I don't know if maybe someday in the future people are like, well, I got a 2016 helix, and it sounds different than my 2017.
What chip does it have in it? Who signed the inside of the battery box?
There may be some of that later.
Yeah, you never know, but I think with the old stuff, things become more personal, especially if you're using vintage stuff, because it's all just a little bit different, and you had to really kind of create like your signature sound in a certain way. And so I've been kind of thinking like I want to think more like that. And because I think that I always would have a tendency to be like, I want a lot of sounds, like the Edge or something, where the Edge has a kind of a lot of sounds. But I started like when I, listening to Eric Johnson and thinking, well, he really only he's got that clean sound, he's got that mid sound, and then he's got the lead sound, and he, there's a few little variation within those, but he's basically kind of dealing with three major palettes, and I kind of like that.
Yeah,
kind of like that. He's basically had that same setup forever.
Yep. Yeah, it's a signature sound. It's also, I mean, it's so much fun when you, if you've developed your own style of music or your own band or whatever, and you get locked into saying, well, if I'm playing, I'm going to try to make that productive, and I'm going to try to stay in the lanes that I've created for this. I'm experiencing this right now. And I like doing that, and I get excited about doing that. But then I put on like the new Ride record, and I'm like, geez, I want to make this stuff too.
And that explains the use of the theremin on the Valentinos.
You're not going to let that go.
Well, Jeff, not that I wasn't paying attention, but I did consult with our Guitar Knobs librarian. And our librarian said, indeed, this is your 7th visit upon the podcast.
That is remarkable.
We started at episode number 103. 103, back in the old days. That was back in September of 2018. And then,
wow, how many episodes have you guys done?
300 what did I post today? 69.
369.
369.
Wow, so it would take, I'd have to listen to an episode a day, and I still in a year wouldn't be able to go through all of them.
Even in a leap
certainly
year.
hate us by that time. Yes.
And then your last appearance was episode number 290, which was November of 22. I think that was the live one you guys did up in Cleveland.
See, I feel like, we were talking about, like the Masters type jacket, but I actually think that it's probably more like a Rocky style boxing robe that has like goat and gold on the back or something like that.
Either that or a custom color fez.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Oh,
A custom color fez it is.
yeah. Well, anyways,
That's a great pedal.
This is very exciting because we get to talk about all kinds of great music and everything because you're on the show and you've been very busy in, I guess, what maybe some might say your time off, which we'll get to in a second. But for those who are new to the world of Jeff Schroeder, would you mind just giving us a quick overview of what you do and where you've been?
So I was born in 1974. I'm just kidding.
All right. Buckle in.
And then by 1979, I was in. I'm just kidding. I guess
So you toured with Judas Priest, right?
Yeah. Jeff actually wrote The Ripper.
I love it. I knew that.
I started playing around L.A., Hollywood, actually, because that's where it was in the early 90s. Mm-hmm. I graduated high school in 1992, so I was really at the I came of age and started playing right at the beginning of the alternative music revolution, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But it was great because before that, the 80s was just such a wonderful time to grow up as a guitar player. But by 92, we were in Nirvana land, and I joined a band, and the guys were a little bit older than me. And so I graduated, I guess, June, and then by that fall, I was already starting to play Hollywood, which was so cool. So I got to play all the clubs, and so played in some various bands. Most notably, this band called the Lassie Foundation, which was more of I guess we were like a second generation shoegaze band because the first gen had already, it's like those bands like Ride that you keep on mentioning, and My Bloody Valentine still hadn't made a response to Loveless, a follow up to Loveless. Yeah. But even bands that were kind of associated with that genre, like The Verve and stuff, had kind of, by like 95, I had gone in more like folky, bluesy directions. All those British bands ended up kind of going American blues for some reason, which always kind of boggles my mind.
Yeah.
And even Slow Dive, when they morphed into Mojave 3, was more like a folk thing. So when we came out with the Lassie Foundation in the mid 90s, it was kind of like a first wave of retro throwback of like, hey, we're going to do like this kind of shoegaze thing. So I did that for a while, and then I left music for the first time in 2001. I went to graduate school at UCLA for comparative literature. And then in the midst of that, by 2006, I was there for like 5 years. And then 5 years into it, I get this call from my buddy. And then they said, hey, Smashing Pumpkins are looking for a guitar player. I think you should put your name in the hat. I did that and got the gig, and then did that for the last 17 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah. So from 2006 to 2023. I was in that band.
So what's the 401k like out of that?
Exactly. Good question.
So, anyways,
Yeah.
yeah. Now,
And the health insurance in the music industry and the,
Top notch.
and the HR department.
Yeah.
well, I did see that you did get your laundry done for free outside of the the Blossom.
Oh, that's right.
There's
Yes,
one
yes,
that just
that
said
is
Jeff's, or don't dry Jeff's clothes or something like that. Oh, that was funny.
Maybe, yeah.
Anyhow,
No, that's one of the perks when you're in a big rock band is you have an employee that takes care of all your wardrobe and personal clothes, and
Yes, we say we have people to do that.
yes,
yeah. The thing is most that last tour we did, we actually had to finally, after many years, hired someone that was really good at their job, and all of a sudden we had our own washer and dryer that would go with like the gears. Like you got your amps, and then you got a washer and dryer,
And they were in road cases, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, of course you can. She's like, yeah, they're like, whatever,
$200.
a couple $100 a week to rent. Then you never, and so then. But most venues have a lot of these venues where tons of bands play. They have facilities too, but then you got to deal with, roadies need to do their laundry and stuff. So for the band stuff, and then she could be in control of it and whatnot.
That's
blah,
cool.
blah, blah. But yeah. So laundry was great.
Yes. Bottom at the end of it all.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's what I'll go out remembering. It was like, wow, wasn't it so great? I didn't have to do my own laundry. Now I'm back to doing my own laundry.
I did only get to wear one pair of pants the entire place, but I didn't have to wash them. Yeah. So I think one of the things that is worth talking about here. Well, wait, first of all, there's a lot of things that are worth talking about, but I will tell you that I can't remember my phone blowing up more in the last couple of years, except when the news came out that you were leaving the Pumpkins. I thought, oh my gosh, did somebody die? Like, because my phone is just going bananas. I was like, did somebody, what's going on?
Amazing.
And I was asking, because we were in a meeting, and I was asking people, I'm like, is something going on? And because my phone's going crazy. And they're like, take a look at it. I'm like, well, I already knew because you told me, but I couldn't believe the amount of people, which is cool because that means they've been paying attention.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
that's cool.
yeah. No, it's weird because as for me, you just kind of live in your own little private universe, and I'm a fairly private person and try not to think much of those things.
Yes.
But the day that I actually had to do it, and it was actually quite emotional, even though you think about things over time, you talk to your friends and family and think things through and go, okay, I think this is really time to do this. It's time to move on. And you come to you have to kind of have a rational thinking through of things. But then when you actually do it, even if you don't want to be, at least for me, it was, wow, this is a heavy experience. And the way things are all mediated through social media now. And so you're like, okay, here's my little, my little speech. And I think with like management stuff, I think we had kind of, with the band and management, we'd all kind of shared this is what we're going to do. We had a plan. It wasn't just haphazard. We had a plan and everything. But then when I actually hit send and you're just kind of sitting there and, kind of goes out into the world.
Like, well, that's final.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it's emotional. And I was, in my mind, I'm like, well, no one's going to care. Who cares? I mean, there's so many more important things in the world. But I was shocked at the just the positive response from fans, that just were like, hey, thank you so much. Really appreciated you. And, it felt good. It felt good in that way. And like I said, it felt emotional because, I have that, whatever it is, my parents put those good values in me to where if that was my job, I put everything I had into doing a good job. Uh-huh. And so it meant something to me.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, if you do 100%, that's all you can, ask of yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that
And,
everything was really
you
positive.
really think about it, man. Like, do I really want to give away that getting my laundry done for free?
Yes. Well, one of the things that has fascinated me when we've talked up until this point is that you have, I think you have a broader spectrum of things that not only interest you, but that you pursue in lieu of that interest than a lot of other people who are just like, this is the thing I do. I play this kind of music. I am only playing this kind of music, and that's all I'm about. Rarely were you ever talking about something that wasn't you pushing your boundaries or exploring new areas of interests and even challenges. When you were talking about learning jazz guitar, which is like, if you got
still
spaghetti
trying.
fingers, then that's great, which we know you do already. So
Still trying, yeah.
yes. Sorry, I thought
That was a rhetorical question.
No. I was just saying, I'm still trying to play over those 2-5-1s.
Probably a lot more further along than any of us.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's hard for one thing that you do to encompass all your interests. And, it has been, I think, more challenging to me as a person to find a vehicle to explore everything that I'm into. And I think that part of what led to my decision is, you only have a finite amount of time on the planet, and you start going, okay, I'm, reach my, 50 years here. If there's other things that I want to do, I have to make time to do those. And, as great as being in a band like this, it was to be in the Smashing Pumpkins, I really valued everything about it, and the amount of just the experiences, the chance to play with such great musicians like Billy and Jimmy and James, and then Jack, and and various other people that were in the band at the time, was amazing. And working in great studios and being able to make records and make an album at Rick Rubin's place with Rick.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, like, wow, how cool is all that
Tour
stuff?
the world.
Yeah,
many
play all
times
those,
over.
many times, and play the biggest shows, the biggest venues. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was awesome, but at the same time, it wasn't my band.
Yeah.
I was kind of along for the ride, and it was a good ride. But at some point, if there's things that you want to do, you just have to make a decision. Okay, I have to make time to do those things. And it's, some days I'm sitting here going, wow, I'm giving up. I could in a couple of weeks, I could have been playing, stadiums with the band and, Green Day and doing that. But I don't regret it at all, because I needed to move on and just rediscover my own path again. Because like I said, I gave 17 years of my life to it, and
Like and all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
Yeah, and all I got is this guitar knob satin jacket.
Well, by the way, you mentioned your 50 years on the planet. Happy belated birthday back in February. We missed it. Todd.
If you guys lived in LA, I would have invited you. I had actually a really nice birthday party at the Rainbow Bar and Grill in Hollywood.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was fun.
That's super cool.
It was fun.
Well, you have in your time, in your contemplation, you somehow managed to, aside from probably tidying up your home
and
probably
doing
for
laundry.
the first time in 17 years and doing your own laundry, you've put out an album already.
Nice.
Well, it's coming out. It's coming out. It's not out yet. So I have but maybe by the time people hear this, it actually will be available for for pre-sale, or maybe even available for sale, actually, because the long wait for vinyl is not what it used to be.
Right.
So I'm actually a little behind on my schedule now, because I thought, okay, I turned in all the artwork and the masters. It's going to be 6 months at the earliest. And the guy, my friend Chris, who's putting out the record on his label, Claire's Story, he said he sent me the test pressings, and I listened to him. I'm like, oh yeah, sound great. Everything's good. Give him the thumbs up. And then he's like, okay, they're going to be here in 6 weeks. I'm like,
wow.
what? I'm like, what?
Jeez.
I'm not ready. Yeah. So I have, just so to explain this. So it's a double vinyl ambient record. So it's not a rock and roll record. It's an ambient instrumental guitar record, just solo guitar, just all looping, and called Metanoia, which is a Greek word for kind of transformation, I guess is one way to translate it. And I thought it was appropriate for the time period. And it's actually, I didn't record it. It actually was recorded in 2021 live in Toronto. I performed. I was asked by an artist to perform at a big outdoor art installation. And so I did actually 7 45-minute performances and one 10-minute performance for the mayor. Wow. They had like the opening night. They're like, okay, we're going to do a really short performance. Yeah, all the city people are going to be here. And then once they leave, then we'll wait. And then we'll do like the full Malone. So it was like a huge, I think about 100-yard video screen.
Nice.
Whoa.
It was really, it was huge. Yeah, it was this huge outdoor field. And so I played in front of it. And it was cool.
What?
And
did you
so
run back and forth the 100 yards back and forth?
No, they only gave me a very small stage. I don't. Maybe it was not 100 yards, but maybe like 50. I don't know. It was big. It was really big. It was really big.
And does the mayor of Toronto have a short attention span?
Well, they got places to, places to go, places to be. You know what I mean? And,
time is money. Time is money. Come on.
I'm sorry. I have to.
They're like, we paid for this, for you, and,
I could just hear in the middle of your, your. Let's get it, man.
Yeah. So I did this thing, and so I asked the sound front of house to record everything on Pro Tools. So we recorded all the performances. And so somewhere I was actually talking to Matt Ferguson from Line 6, and he used some similar types of things that I did for the launch of the Pacifica. He's like, hey, we have this video that we're doing, and I actually want to use some stuff that you recorded from some other video we did as kind of background music. Do you mind? Yeah. And I said, of course, go ahead, use it. And he said, you should think about, putting out a record like this or something like that. And I said, well, you know what? I should actually go, and I knew I had all these files from this art installation. So I went back and listened to it, and it was actually, it was a lot to listen to. But anyway, after going through and listening to it, I actually decided to use 2 full performances from Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon. So that's the record. So record 1 is the morning performance, and record 2 is the afternoon performance. And so then I took it over to my good friend Josiah Masashi, who has Cave Studio, and we had to do some digital editing to the files. Just there's like a lot of because it was all looping, and so there was a lot of layers by the end, and so it was kind of some spiky things to take place, and so we had to use some dynamic compression and stuff, and he did such a great job of making it sound good. And it's crazy because on record 2, they're full performances, but on record 2 there was I hit one bad note, like out of key. And I was like, oh man.
You're allowed that.
What a bummer, you know what I mean? And, but because of the nature of it, because it's all you can't make edits because it's obvious if you cut out a section. But we actually, we use Melodyne because you can do, which is like an auto tuning kind of pitch correction software, and it's polyphonic now. So we actually we just put that section in and found the one bad note within this kind of a huge landscape of sound, and we were able to fix it. So there's only one little bit of digital trickery. Other than that, it's all me just playing. But it's just one guitar, just layered and looped the whole time.
Amazing. What guitar did you use on that?
Strange. I used the James Tyler Line 6 Variax.
Oh.
Yeah,
wow.
The which was the last incarnation of it, which were quite better than the original Variaxes. But it's actually more of like a real guitar. It actually, even as just if you don't use the Variax function, actually a decent sounding guitar and really high quality, plays really well. But I actually used it with the Cat 5 cable into Helix, then you're able to. Because with it, and it actually, because I'd never tried the Variax like that. When I tried the Variax, I just plugged it into a regular amp with the 1/4-inch cable.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't think this really sounds that great. It doesn't really work. It doesn't work so well. But with the Cat 5 cable into Helix, and when you're all kind of modeling digital world, it actually works quite well. Sounds way better.
Well, it's just all one contiguous union.
Yeah. And for the stuff I was doing, I wasn't going for a Les Paul into a Marshall natural Guns N' Roses AC/DC kind of sound. It was going to be very disfigured type of guitar sound.
It's the exact polar. I'm running the opposite direction of that.
Yeah. So it was cool because I could use. I basically went between the Strat, Rickenbacker 12-string, and I think actually the Les Paul for some humbucking type of stuff. And so it's that and just one Helix preset.
What? Wait. One Helix preset? How many things were on that preset?
Well, a bunch of things. I had a huge signal chain, but I didn't switch between presets or anything. It's just the one preset. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You broke my brain there for a second because I'm like, I just heard that and wait, what?
Yeah, and then just straight into the PA.
Wow.
Now, I can't remember in all your other visits if we ever talked about Sustainiacs. Have you ever used those, especially for like the ambient stuff?
Well, on this, I used the EBO. Okay. I didn't use because I was using the Variax. Cool. I wanted to use that guitar, so I actually did use the EBO. But I have a Pacifica, my custom-made Pacifica that. One of them that they made me, and I do have a Sustainiac in one of them. And in my band Night Dreamer, I used it all the time. Okay. I just kind of anytime I played a solo, I pretty much had it on.
Nice.
Because even if I didn't need it for sustain, but I did because in that band it was electronic and I was all in the box too. I didn't have like an amp on stage. Everything was so I couldn't get any natural feedback. So it was cool to have. But what I really like about it is it just, if you have the right amount of distortion and delays and a certain type of signal flow and you have that on, just random things happen, which I like. I like when oh, that's a cool thing. And, I can just react to that. So I do love the Sustainiac. It's a fun tool.
That has come up quite a bit in our last conversations, and I think maybe my phone and stuff is listening because I get served up content about the Sustainiac.
Your phone is listening to you.
Yeah, and we were talking about the Fender Fernandez's version of that.
Oh yeah. Well, the Fernandez was the Sustainer, right? Yes. And then the Sustainiac. Yes. Yeah.
So I'm in a pickup making group, and I believe the maker of that pickup's in our group, and it's a really, really cool pickup. Really, really cool. And
it is. Yeah. It seems like it was kind of ahead of its time and kind of died out, and now it seems to be kind of coming back. I see more and more people using it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was, in fact, the last show that we talked about, because I was up at Reverend, the Reeves Gabrel's signature model has a Sustainiac in the neck.
That was actually the first one I got. I bought a Reeves Gabrel's. And then I was using it, and then Yamaha got pissed. They're like, "Why are you playing that guitar?" I'm like, "Because it has this. I want the sustain." So they built me one.
We
with
could
the
do that.
So they quickly built me one with the Sustainiac. Yeah. But is cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, and it was funny because so his Reeves has it, the Satriani has it, right? I think the Vi Pia are one. I don't know if the Pia doesn't come with it, but Vi always uses it. He has a bunch of them. Ed O'Brien from Radiohead has I think he has the Sustainer, right? The Fernandez on his.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So there's quite a few, and I think that I feel like Schecter even recently made like a fairly inexpensive model, like under $1,000 that had the Sustainiac on it. So it's something that you can kind of get into now without having to break the bank.
Yeah.
It's a cool tool.
Nice.
Seems like they would have put that on like the Sinister Gates model or something like that. If they're still making that, I'm not really sure. But yeah. Well, so this has been this was like a departure, at least from my ears, what I'm used to hearing you play. But I think one of the things that we've talked about on the show, and Tony, we talk amongst ourselves, Tony and I, and Jared and everybody, and what you brought to the Pumpkins, and just hearing you play on your own, it's like, wow, this is like, you're obviously so much more than quote unquote rock, and this isn't that, and I'm just curious, like what was the genesis to go down this path?
Well, gosh, it's hard to even to place myself in a narrative about it. I guess what it was first would have been through Brian Eno. Like discrete music is basically a very similar type of, so I feel like in Metanoia, I feel like it's almost like a tribute album in a certain way, to where I'm just doing something like that. Eno, me, and then of course someone who I really love and admire, Robert Fripp, and his Frippertronics.
Yep.
So I really love, and so if you followed even like my Line 6 blogs that I wrote, I did actually one whole entry one time on Frippertronics, how to do that with the Helix, and so that has been a kind of area of guitar that has been totally fascinating to me, and I think another thing after I did these performances in Toronto, and I actually did another one with the same artist at LACMA, the LA County Museum of Art here in LA. I really liked the intersections of music and like the art world. And
who's the artist again?
Krista Kim.
Krista Kim. Okay.
Yeah,
Two
yeah.
Ks? Krista Kim.
Krista, yeah, and then Kim, yeah.
Got it. Cool.
And so I really liked that intersection. And so that's something I think in the future I would like to do more of, and could see myself getting more involved in doing things like that, and playing more solo guitar. Like actually, I would like to play some shows like this just by myself.
Wow.
Doing this kind of
cool.
stuff. But you have to find the right venues of like showing up to a rock club on a Wednesday night and like with a bunch of rock band, be like, "Hey, I'm going to come up and do this looping." Is like not a good idea. So you have to kind of, it's got to be set up properly.
Yeah, you need at least like chicken wire mesh, to stop the bottles from coming.
Exactly. No, it's very interesting because Robert Fripp, after kind of King Crimson and stuff, he he started doing this Frippertronics thing, and he had to do it with 2 Revox tape recorders. I don't know if you've ever seen. Have you ever seen photos of it or anything?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, and but I can't. He has all this terminology for it, but he basically wanted something that didn't have all the difficulty of traveling of like with the whole rock band, where so he could play different types of venues doing the Frippertronics thing. Mm-hmm. And so on the kind of some of those early tours, he was playing everything from record stores to small clubs to, other types of kind of alternative type of venues. Mm-hmm. And because it was all about finding the right space to do it. But so I think, like I said, that's something that I think I drew a lot of inspiration from.
And now, sadly, you can get all of the effectiveness of a Frippertronics in about a $300 pedal.
Yeah, which is crazy. Yeah. I know. You don't. Thank goodness you don't need the two. You don't need the two. The two
Revoxes. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
I was looking. I don't know. Oh, it's over there across from my can because I'm tethered to my headphones. But but those Revox tape machines had such a sound, though. So it's really, even though you can do effectively what they did with the delay, it's hard to get the sound. But there's a company that makes that Revox preamp in a pedal.
Oh,
yeah. So I had to get that, and so that's kind of fun. It's a good kind of DI thing, just going straight into the computer with that. I can get some really cool sounds that way too.
Nice.
Yeah.
I know that you've also been very involved in assisting some other, I guess, I don't know, is that sitting in with some other artists that are not actually artists, but musical artists.
Yeah, I've been actually doing a lot of producing out here in LA, and so I've been working and some remote things. I actually just finished a track today with this artist called Carell. She's more a dark wave synth kind of music, and she's from Madison, Wisconsin.
How do you spell that?
Karrellee.
Ooh.
All right.
Yeah.
Lots of double letters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Everybody has to, her name is Sarah, but that's her band. I don't know, project name. Yeah. I don't know.
Sarah Smith, a.k.a.
Sarah spelled SSAA.
Yeah. And then I'm actually working tomorrow with another, this artist, Lauren Lackus, and she's both in LA and Austin. She lives in both cities, and I guess she lives in Austin, but she comes to LA to work all the time. And her music is cool. She plays, I think, she plays a baritone guitar, so it's B to B and kind of heavy shoegaze.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, and
electric baritone or acoustic baritone?
Electric.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's a cool sound, and so we started. We're starting to work on some new songs for her, and I just did a single for another artist out here in LA. Her name is Izzy Outer Space. So I've been doing a lot of it's people. They just hit me up, I guess. I guess, and I tend to only take. I don't do like if the music resonates with me, then I'll do it. Yeah.
Nice.
I have 2 quick questions for you, and then we'll probably start rounding third here. You mentioned some dark wave synths and stuff. One of the bands that I've talked recently about, and I'm just curious to know if you're hip to them or not. But Actors.
Oh, I know that. Yes, I mean I'm familiar with them, and I think my buddy Josiah maybe mixed their last album.
Okay.
Yeah.
It seems like it would be in your purview.
Where are they? Are they from Oregon, maybe, or are they from Portland?
Yeah, let's say yes.
I don't know, but yeah, I know. But I'm pretty sure Josiah mixed their last record.
Yeah. Love that stuff.
Yeah.
So
I know it's addictive.
yeah. I mean, we were on our way to see the Gods play here, and I said, hey, you know what we need to see before a bunch of like, old fellers play some old style rock and roll, like heavy
Which
stuff.
is good. It's good.
Yeah. We should listen to some dark wave on the way, and I popped it in, and I mean, I don't think we said anything the entire way up there.
Thankfully.
Yeah. This is good stuff.
I have one final question.
Okay.
Now that Beyonce has paved the way for country music, when will there be a Jeff Schroeder country album?
I know well, as soon as Jared invites me to Nashville.
Come on down. On down.
It is funny because I feel like it's funny because
It may happen.
Rock has rock. People have been talking. Rock is kind of had like a bit of a hit. I mean, it's not in the mainstream, and so it hasn't had quite the comeback that some people have predicted. And so now you're seeing, pop artists like Beyonce. Hey, I'm going to do a country album. So I think hey, it's not my thing, but what I find to be interesting. Is that I feel like I've had many friends from LA that were even a little bit older than me that grew up in doing the hard rock hair metal scene in LA. And as they've gotten older, I think it's very easy to transition into doing outlaw kind of country.
Oh yeah,
because I think it's like because you kind of feel silly maybe playing if you're not really dedicated hard rocker anymore. You're like I want to do stuff, but what do I do? I feel like it's a way you can kind of slot into that.
It's just a different vocal delivery. It's almost the exact same stuff behind it, though.
Right, and you get to wear outfits and stuff too if you're into like dressing up.
Oh
like
the nudie suits. Yeah,
those are hot right now. Holy mackerel!
No, I mean, but I get it. I mean, this is just and I'm not talking smack on anybody. I think that as you get older, you're like, okay, like what what can I do? I mean, the leather pants. I don't know how much longer I can wear them.
Oops.
No, so you can go. There's a few places you can go, right? You can go country, which people go. You can go jazz, like Alex Skolnick kind of has gone. I actually went and saw Alex recently and hung out with him a bit. He played at the Baked Potato in LA, and it was so cool. And he does that jazz fusion thing, like I think like for me, it's like kind of more like okay, I can do like I really like this kind of Eno Fripp kind of experimental music type of thing a lot too. So I think that's where I see myself kind of spending, trying to cultivate some time. And
plus you get to wear capes and things.
Yeah.
You can do whatever. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can be, yeah.
Fantastic. So along with your recent announcement, this is the last question, everybody. Along with your recent announcement that you were leaving, there was also a recent announcement that they were looking. I won't go any further than that, other than to say you are.
Did all three of you guys put in audition tapes?
No.
I did.
No.
But it was me with a sledgehammer smashing pumpkins.
Yes.
Billy doesn't want anybody taller than him on the stage.
So the question is, you instantly became a very valuable unicorn out there. And I'm curious if someone was saying, we've been looking for a very rare unicorn, what would be that band that you would basically drop everything and get on the bus with?
Wow. That's a tough question. I have not even thought of it. It's really hard for me to answer because it's not something that's in the forefront of my mind.
Squirrel nut zippers.
Let's say Steve Vai has to drop out of the '80s King Crimson tour.
If I was, you read my mind because I was going to say, like, if I had the skill level, that's actually what I'd want to do. But that gig is way above my skill set. But if we're living in the world of fantasy, yes, I would love. That would be like a dream to do. It's actually what was interesting is recently I went. Robert Fripp just did a talk at a venue at a place here in LA, and I went with my friend William, and William is the bass player of this band Future Islands. I don't know if you're familiar. Yeah. And so we love all this stuff. So we're like, let's go. We got to go see Robert Fripp talk. And I'm not saying I don't get recognized too often. In LA's like, I mean, it's not that, but shockingly at the Robert Fripp talk, so many people came up to me and were like, "Oh my God, I saw you guys play." So I think it just means that King Crimson fans, there's a segment of King Crimson fans like bands like the Smashing Pumpkins. So I don't think it's I'm not saying it's a huge intersection of fans, but I feel like there is crossover because I think that I realize there at the Robert Fripp thing, there's King Crimson, and then of course it makes sense that Danny Carey is playing in Beat because I think a lot of King Crimson fans like Tool, especially if they're younger King Crimson fans, and then Tool fans like the Smashing Pumpkins, because it's kind of that era of harder alternative music. So it kind of makes sense. But I'm super jacked for the Beat tour. And I got tickets for both shows.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, in LA because they have one at the beginning and one at the end. At the tour, so I'm going. Yeah, I'm super excited.
Now, when you're shopping, like I don't know, like Gelson's or something, have you ever turned down the aisle to like get some kind of salad dressing, and you and DJ Keoki both reached for the same?
Right?
Does that ever happen?
No, I mean,
that's really specific, I know, but
wow, no. None more specific.
That might be the most specific question anybody's ever asked you. I don't know.
It's crazy. I recently I was at my, I was at my supermarket, my local supermarket shopping, and I saw someone that I know, and I was like, someone I actually know, but it wasn't like I don't even like. It's not that I don't like the person, but sometimes you're just like,
you have a lot to unpack. If
I'm not feeling particularly. I just wanted to come in and out, so I did like definitely like a loop around a different aisle and then to the self checkout real quick.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah.
So just out of curiosity, what is your favorite salad dressing?
Green Goddess.
There it is.
Ooh, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
But well, you know what? That is true. But I would say, if I'm really being honest, I'm not gonna lie. I like ranch. I like just an iceberg lettuce salad from Denny's with ranch and croutons.
Yeah.
Hey, there he is.
All right. Hey.
Heavy on the ranch, heavy on the croutons.
I love the ginger that you get at the Japanese steakhouse. That ginger salad.
Sure.
I've bought in pints of that and taken it home. It's so good.
Oh, well,
it's not better than ranch.
It isn't. I was just reminded of something. As this is the last thing we actually are. But I wrote down a note when we were talking about the fuzz face stuff, and Jeff, I'm going to send you something because Hello Sailor, our good friend Joe Halliday, he sent me his version of a fuzz face. In the big mic stand housing, and I haven't heard anything like that one. So I'm going to send that to you, and I would love to hear what you think about it. Okay.
Well, awesome. Yeah. Wonderful. No, it's a thing. You know what I mean? It takes, you kind of got to figure out how to make it work. Like the amp and everything, it's got to be set the right way.
Yeah. Dig it.
Yeah.
It's like a Ferrari.
It
kind
is.
of. Yeah. And a trash truck.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah. So some sort of hybrid of that.
V12 trash
Yes.
truck.
All right, Tanya, get us out of here. We got some stuff to do.
But first, ladies and gentlemen, how about you guys pack up the El Camino, come on down to Nashville so we can play a little game of Would You Rather?
Very nice, Jared. Very nice.
So you're walking down the street and you realize, hey, I've got some good news. You're recording your new ambient electronic experimental progressive rock album.
So good.
And the great Brian Eno had agreed to produce it. The bad news is Brian Eno also committed to a tour with a 70s UK cover band called the Roxy Crimson. But hey, no worries. Brian Eno is buddies with two other Brians that are available to produce your album. The one and only Brian Wilson or Brian Seltzer. Which Brian?
Or
Setzer.
Setzer.
Seltzer's
Oh my
his-
gosh.
His cousin.
That would
My
be
eyes,
the Three Stooges.
Gotta keep this on here. It's
Yes.
my eyes. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Which Brian would you rather produce your album? Which are you going, the Seltzer or Wilson?
Setzer.
I know.
Yeah. Yes. So,
I'm an
Jeff,
idiot. What are you gonna do?
honestly, I kid you not, we wrote that before we started talking with you.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
It
Tony
all
and I,
comes full circle.
we heard the dings when you hit all the things. We were like, hey, we got a good one.
We're
Okay.
in alignment. We're in alignment
Yes.
tonight. Yeah.
All right. Let's hear from Tanya Bolonsky first, and then we'll head around to Jared and then Jeff.
Well, I'm going to assume that Brian Wilson is in a
Yes.
better state.
Capacitive state.
Yes. But that being said, I think it would be hilarious to have Brian Setzer have a go at ambient music. Although, I mean, he's done the orchestration.
That's true.
I mean, he might be good.
Yeah.
But I mean, just for shits and giggles, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going Brian Setzer and his brother, Brian Seltzer.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. He's a little bit more emo. Yeah.
He's very fuzzy.
Yes. So, Jared, how about yourself?
I want the testing the walls, feeling the vibration in the walls, Brian Wilson. I want that Brian Wilson to produce my album.
All right.
That's what I want. And that era and that mindset.
Yeah. Okay. Jeff?
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna take the risk and go Brian Wilson all the way too.
Yeah. I am as well, because I think with all of the things that he was making up and just creating new ways of doing all kinds of things, being experimental without being unapproachable. I would love to see what he would do with stuff now. Yes.
So once again, Tony Island.
Yes. Tony Island. Yep. Anyhow, so that was a very appropriat
Yeah,
Would
that
You
was fun.
Rather. And we need to thank
I really want Mike Love though.
Don't get me started, Jeff. Don't get me started.
Wait till you hear my cover of Kokomo.
Oh, Bermuda and Bahama.
My deconstructed version.
Yeah.
I might have to do that now.
Seriously, man.
I'm seriously thinking about maybe I do this cover of Kokomo.
I like it.
Oh.
Well,
my goodness.
I won't speak to you. There won't be an eighth
I
time on
will.
the show.
I'll buy it. Yes. All right, Tony.
Yes, Todd, at this point of the show, there's a special group of people we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, an executive producer makes this show possible. How do you become one? Head over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple of different levels in which you can participate, become a friend, a sponsor, a hero of the podcast. Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts and opportunities to win great giveaways. Oh, yes, we've got more coming, folks. But in addition to all that great stuff, there's one thing more. What would that be?
You get to have your name read on the thing, buddy.
Your name read on the thing, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers: John Sebastian, Trevor Ellenberg, Cameron Pampas, James Bell, Michael Furman, Eric Hemmer, Brett Hogarth, Gregory Randall, Don Kloss, Ralph Gottschalk from Wonderful Audio Technology. What? Rusty Sneeden, Vader and Pedals, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Richard Kendall, not Mike Kendall, James Pennington, James White, Justin Jones, John Esterly from Rare Buzz Effects, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Darren Gregory, Tom Barazin, and Sean S. Oh, but wait, there's more, because we have a special level of executive producers. We call them our grand poobahs. These fine folks are the top of the heap, the A number ones, the creme de la creme. So special thanks to these grand poobahs: Adam Johnson, Anthony Gemolero, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Bob Crouch, Brian Robinson, Cody Foster, David Kaminga, David Tyndall, Enrico Fernando, Fox Hill Studio, Hex Matos, Jack Cadian, James Pennington, John Williams, LSJ Music Company, Matt Hart, Michael Van Zant, Michio Murakishi, Moon Guitars, Paul Von Eppinger, Sam Jett, Science of Sound, Steve Keys, Tyler Rhines, Zach Oswald from Brandon Wound Pickups,
Yep.
and Jimmy Newton. Thank ya. Thank you.
Indeed. We are grateful to you all. And I think you might be grateful for joining if you're going to be a new member our new supporter.
Yes.
Because we got some great stuff that we're going to be handing out. It's not like, giveaway is kind of like a gifting. Let's go with gifting.
Okay.
So very excited about things to come, and we truly appreciate it because it does keep the wheels moving. Without your support, this just simply wouldn't be possible.
Now, if it's gifting, does it have to be gift wrapped?
No, but I might do that just for one or something.
Okay.
Now that you mentioned it.
Oh, man.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, I could get some like on Sticker Mule or something like one of those other things, the print
Amazon
and whatever. No, you could probably get like custom wrapping paper with our logo on it.
You probably could do that.
Yeah. That's what I need to spend money on.
Well, why don't you just...
I just said, we need your help to keep this going. I'm like, well, how about our own wrapping paper?
Well, you can buy yourself a screen or silk screen press and make your own.
Oh, that would
screen
be
print,
lovely.
all that stuff.
I'll do that. All right. We need to say a colossal thank you to our good friend Jeff Schroeder for hanging out with us. It's been a minute, and we have thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun. Because it always goes by so quickly. I can't believe it.
Yes. Not everybody says that, but
We didn't get. To be honest, I had this list of things that we didn't even get to here.
oh, hey, well, save it for
Number
round
eight.
number 8.
Yep.
Because I really thought there was this whole line of pedals and stuff around the Beach Boys, right? Is it because of this document?
I just saw that. Yes.
We didn't get into that, but let's not. We can't open that can. Right now.
We'll save that after you. Put out the next
Little
album.
teaser.
Yes, with Kokomo.
Yes.
And we can do a special
We'll
Mike.
go on the Kokomo single release. Okay.
We'll do the Mike Love pedal.
Yeah. Oh man.
One big knob.
Okay. Boy, you're really laying it on thick, Tony. Now, Jeff, where can people go? I mean, you've got a million things going on, so just point them a few directions you'd like to.
Yeah.
Have them go.
So I will have the album when it's really. You will be able to get it if you follow me on Instagram, which is easy. There'll be information there. There'll be links on my Bandcamp. We'll be selling the record. Also, if you go to my website, jeffkimschroeder.com, it's in the process of being updated. We'll have all of that information when it's ready.
Excellent.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tony?
Head over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the wares I have available for purchase. But I do custom work, so shoot me a line on email. Let me know what you need, what you're trying to do, and I'll take very good care of you. Make your guitar even more your own.
Even
That's
more
right.
yours.
Even more yours.
That's
God,
right.
you know,
I dropped these nuggets and you mess
nuggets.
them up.
I just smash them
Yes.
to
All right.
smithereens.
Jared, how about yourself?
Jared.allen.brandon Instagram. Drop me a line if you wish to do so. We'll talk about gear, whatever.
Okay.
There it is.
Thanks, Jared. You can shoot me a DM on Instagram at Guitar Knobs. We would love to hear from you. Just tell us what you're up to, who you are.
How about a would you rather or two?
Would love some new Would You Rathers. And also give a listen to the Valentinos while you're driving around to grip the wheel a little bit tighter.
That's right, especially when the theremin kicks in.
Oh, my God.
My favorite part.
Yeah. And other than that, everybody, have a fantastic Guitar Week and subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
Ready as ever, man. Do you want me to think of a would you rather?
We've got it covered.
We got it covered. It's going to be amazing.
Are
Yes.
you going to let me read it?
No. Yeah, so anyways, so much to talk about. This is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I have LaCroix.
I was counting on you saying a chilled Chablis.
I wish. I wish.
I had a cask of Amontillado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chateau Neuf de Pape. All right, Jeff.
We are clear.
We're done with you.
Um,
And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.